I wanted to make a video in Kerbal Space Program, and I was trying to decide what I should do for my first KSP video. And I thought back to when I was first learning how to play the game years ago, and in that time all I really wanted to do was be able to get to the moon, or the mun in KSP. So this is just the same thing. We're going to the mun in my Saturn V inspired rocket with the KW Rocktry pieces. It's not a complete replica, but it does use the same idea as having the limb underneath the service module and the command module, and then separating out once we're on the way to the mun. So I believe right now we're just circularising the orbit. No, sorry, we're going to the transfer window now. You will notice I am using Mechjeb for this. I do fly the ship in some parts, but I just prefer to use Mechjeb. I prefer to build the rockets as opposed to fly them, and it just makes it easier, and it's always going to go right. Well, I say that, it doesn't always go right, as you're probably going to see in a moment when we try to dock this thing together with the limb and the command module here. You'll notice one of the pieces flies away, and I had a little stack separator there which was meant to fly away also, but it didn't. What you will see is two little separated rockets fly off there, and the idea of that was that they were going to be on the stack separator, and once that became undocked, the stack separator was going to fly away, but I managed to do some sort of a maneuver there to knock it away with the command module. I don't know how that happened, but it worked, so we're going to carry on and get a good dock. And there we go. We're just going to pull this away from the thing, from the second stage there. And we're on our way to the moon now. Or the mun, I should really say. We're just transferring over these two Kerbals here, or Kerbals. Sorry, it's been a while since I've actually played this game. It's probably been about maybe 2 years since I've actually done a proper mission. I was quite actually surprised. I managed to remember as much as I did about the game. But it's definitely one of them games I do want to get back into, because it is. I've used a lot of hours in this game. There we are, just trying to get a bit of a closer periapsis to the mun when we intercept it, like that. And then I believe we're just going to circularise this down now. A little bit of tweaks here and there. And here we go, we're just making sure they're all in the correct modules as we go for separation here. And try and bring this limb down to the surface. I think we've got Jebediah and Bill in this one, going down to the surface of the mun here. This was actually the part where I didn't use Mechjeb. I actually flew this one myself, and it went okay. Surprisingly, I thought I hadn't landed on a surface manually for quite some time, so I thought I'd give it a go. And well, I guess you'll see how it turns out in a moment as we come down on this slightly rocky crater. And one thing I know you've got to be careful, because normally I have it set at the SAS on your retrograde, but you've got to be careful that you don't then bounce back up, because then it will just flip the limb or lander. I don't know what you guys normally use, or limb or lander, but here we go. That's Jebediah and Bill sitting on the surface of the moon, or standing on the moon, for the first time, at least in this video. But we can't hang on for too long. We've planted our flag and we've got to get it going now. So this is one of the Kerbals getting back into the lander, or the limb. And the second one doesn't need ladder, he just jumps straight up and gets straight in. No problem at all. No problem at all. And here we go now. Right, we're off now. Back to board with the command module to go meet old Bob. I did mess this up a little bit. I went a bit too high when I shouldn't have. And I did need the help of Mechjeb to try and rendezvous back. And there's the command module just off in the surface, off in the distance there. Yeah, you can see there because I had to do a few orbits to try and get into the right position to rendezvous because I sort of messed up a bit too much. But well, we got there in the end. Here we come. Here's the command module. Rendezvous. Had a bit of trouble getting the target of the docking port there, but we do eventually get it, and managed to use the docking autopilot to get us back into position. I wouldn't have tried it from there. That's too far for me. It would have taken me too long, and I could just click a button and then it does it for me. So why bother? Unless you are one of these people that does enjoy flying the ships, then which fair enough. It's just not my cup of tea. Like I said, I prefer building these things as opposed to flying them. But I like seeing them in action, and I like the idea of the automatic pilot sort of thing. I would actually like to get into the KOS. I've seen people do amazing things with KOS, but that's also getting a lot more complicated. So maybe we'll give it a go at some point, maybe not. I'm not too sure at this point. So here we are, we're leaving the Mun, successfully landed on it, back into Kerbin's sphere of influence, ready to get a smaller periapsis to get down to the surface of Kerbin. And here we go for that retrograde burn. We actually encountered the Mun again there, very briefly. And here he comes, Kerbin, coming at us quite fast now. I actually did increase the periapsis a little bit because we were coming in quite sharp and quite steep. And now I think it's time to say goodbye to the limb, or the lander. Off that goes. And, oh, yep, there it goes. Flies off. And there goes our service module. And coming into the atmosphere nice and easy. Get those parachutes out. At one point here I actually thought I was on the ground, but I wasn't. I had to check the altimeter. And there we go. We've made it back to Kerbin. Here's those 3 brave Kerbals by their ship. Made it back to Kerbin again. Thanks for watching.